The government has handed private firms £3 billion in a bid to stop the boats. We're going to read into this exclusive from Open Democracy, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an exclusive from Open Democracy with the headline that the government hands private firms £3 billion in a bid to stop the boats. Research reveals the business of channel security is booming as companies profit off asylum seekers' desperations. It's a money-making machine for these gangs and for businesses to make off these people who are desperate to come to the UK. And the government handing firms allegedly, and I do have to say allegedly, £3 billion in a bid to stop the boats is a complete waste of public taxpayer money, if this is true. And I say the words if because they do have, I am going to put links in the description for these as well. I'll just quickly show you as well. There's border security contract links to small boat crossings and channel crossings. And this apparently here, this is a documentation which is also linked. I'll put the links for both of these in the description. Are the contracts apparently that the government has with them. I will put links for them separately in down below for you guys if you want to have a look yourself. But these are off the record apparently with the government, so that they're not actually something that you can publicly get your hands on or get knowledge of. And Open Democracy are claiming they've had to dig deep to find these. So let's have a little nosedive into this exclusive, and I'll share my thoughts as we go along on this one. So the UK government says smuggler profit off human desperation in the English Channel. But we, as a team of researchers, believe that they are not the only ones. Our work has found that private companies have received more than £3.5 billion of public money in an economy connected to border management over the past 7 years. Okay, this includes contracts specifically related to the regulation of people moving across the English Channel in small boats for the provision of indirect services in the economy. The government makes it difficult for people to access this information, and there is no publicly available database of all such contracts it holds with private firms. Some contracts have not been made public at all. And even those that have, some figures have been redacted. All of this means that the real amount spent is likely far higher than our research was able to uncover. Amid this state-level secrecy, we have put together a report of findings as well as spreadsheets, and both of those, like I said, will be linked down below, to help the public better understand the UK's border industrial complex. It details 217 contracts between the government and private firms for border security and the management of the channel, including search and rescue operations, the processing of asylum seekers arriving in the UK on small boats, the border surveillance and technologies that likely apply to channel, and the Port of Dover as part of a broader border security. We detail contracts related to border control in our report, and this includes search and rescue operations in the channel. We argue that whilst search and rescue operation contracts conducted by Border Force, the Coast Guard and other agencies are categorically different to surveillance and security technologies, they are connected because of the way that people are pushed into dangerous maritime routes and then demand maritime rescue. Our data reveals that business is booming for companies involved in the border economy. Those include on our spreadsheets range from small regional outfits that operate in coaches to multinational defence contractors, implemented in the conflicts that displace many of those crossing the channel in small boats. For these larger firms, both wars and the refugees they produce are business opportunities. For thousands of people with no feasible or safe route to reach the UK, to apply for asylum, crossing the channel in a small boat becomes a risk they must take. Almost every day people continue to take that risk, and they increasingly lose their lives doing so. Successive UK governments have divisive plans to stop the boats from since abandoned plans to send asylum-seeking people to Rwanda to the decision to house hundreds of new arrivals to the UK on the Bibi Stockholm barge. In recent years, we've seen an alarming trend towards government authoritarianism in immigration policy and the weakening of international protection rights to which the UK has committed. Remember, things like the European Convention on Human Rights, that's not going to last long if we have a reformed government as well. Various UK Prime Ministers have stressed the need to stop the boats or smash the gangs operating in the channel. But these are not strategies implemented by a single arm of government. These are policies designed to be delivered by multiple agencies, with hundreds of contracted services provided by private businesses. Behind almost every piece of infrastructure, every form of surveillance, every maritime rescue and processing of channel migrants are private companies working to win contracts, implement policy and accrue profits. Tech giants, armed firms, and private security contractors are gradually expanding its facilities to control over international borders. Globally, this market is projected to grow from 337 billion in 2023 to 679 billion by 2032. This is their estimates. A year ago, as researchers in the universities of Liverpool, Nottingham, Sheffield, and York were set out to build a deeper understanding of private sector involvement on the Channel border, we trawled through database of tender and contract opportunities for private companies advertised by the Home Office through its commercial Crown Service website. And though private tender advisory services such as Contract Finder Pro and Bid Stats, the information was not easily accessible, contracts are hard to find, and agreements are heavily redacted by the Home Office. Last year, the Parliamentary Research Office noted that the difficulty of tracking the money that the UK government has given to its French counterpart in numerous deals relating to border security over the past 2 decades. We've had a similar experience researching the contracts which the government holds with private companies. And we did, however, manage to find £3.5 billion worth of government contracts distributed to firms or managing people arriving in the UK by small boats between 2017 and 2024. On top of this, we also uncovered over $1 billion available to open tenders as of December 2024. We have now released all of this data in a publicly available spreadsheet, as well as reporting and detailing all we believe we've learned. The channel is closely monitored stretch of water. Companies providing surveillance are responsible for sentry towers, maritime patrol, CCTV cameras, AI satellite surveillance, aerial drones, heat sensor scanners, walls and fences, and reception centres and detention facilities. All of this requires staffing, security guards to patrol the perimeters of lorry parks, ferry ports and detention facilities, and health workers, drivers and administrators to process each person who is intercepted and brought to shore. This border industry complex goes beyond the Channel border zone, reaching into the UK on a scale that we have not yet fully mapped out yet. It also goes beyond this country. The British state provided France with 800 million for channel-related border security between 2014 and 2026. Including £424 million between 2023 and 2026. And it is likely that French state is also using private companies to secure the border, as it has done in the past. The UK government continues to look for new ways to expand its spending and control. One of the objectives of the new Border Security, Asylum and Immigration Bill is to establish a legal basis for the 100 million Border Security Command, which intends to unlock philosophised new technology to track and intervene the so-called smuggling gangs. Some firms are on the list of making significant profits from the securitization of the channel. Since 2016, Mighty Group plc, a well-used contractor for public sector work in infrastructure, facility management, energy and healthcare, has run holding facilities in transit terminals in northern France paid for by the British government. In 2018, it secured £514 million to escort detained asylum seekers between holding facilities both abroad and in the UK. And in 2022, it also won a £53 million contract to run the infamous Mansion Reception Centre in Kent, which is currently facing an independent inquiry for its egregious conditions. That contract was extended to 2024. That's a lot of money they're getting, isn't it, guys? The Home Office is currently advertising a £700 million contract for the management of Manchester and the Western Jet Foil in Dover, a short-term holding facility where people are taken after they disembark from border force boats. Technology companies Fujitsu, I remember them, and IBM secured 55 million and 65.6 million respectively between 2018 and 2022 for biometric services to track people who may be attempting to enter the UK. Construction firm Galliford tried benefiting from contracts worth £172 million in 2024 for the reconstruction of 2 detention facilities in the UK as part of the now scrapped Rwanda plan. You see where this is going, right? Are you seeing the pattern what I'm seeing as we go through this? We're not even halfway through this article. But what you're seeing is so much more. There's so much more money being poured into this whole Immigration and Borders Act. And all of this can be, you could save so much taxpayer money. If this is all true, right? You could save so much taxpayer money if we just had safe and legal routes. Safe and legal routes for people. You can kill this industry by having safe and legal routes for people to claim asylum in the, if they did it on the French side. Safe and legal routes for people to claim asylum. But no, we're wasting money. We're throwing so much money to the French, to all these private companies for all these things. And we can significantly reduce all this if we just create safe and legal routes. Do you not see the problem here, guys? For those who have such a big problem with immigration, would you not want to save so much taxpayer money as well? The UK Border Security also entrusts a company manufacturing weapons and military technology. Israel's arms company Ebit Systems, which has boasted of having combat-proven its technology in Palestine, received nearly £1 million from the Home Office for drone technology at the border between 2017 and 2021. The government department also paid over $1 billion to a Portuguese company, Tekveda, which works with the Ukrainian military, for drones and maritime surveillance in 2020. In January 2025, the Home Office was offering £19 million for further aerial intelligence surveillance and reconnaissance in the Channel. In 2023, the Home Office also paid out £85 million to BAE Systems, another defensive contractor, for developing a risk assessment system along passenger and freight routes across the UK and in port locations such as Dover. The company is the UK's largest defence manufacturer with a revenue of over £26 billion last year. These large corporations are backed financially by a global web of asset management, private investments and insurance companies, many of which are also deeply involved in the security, arms and border industry. It's a market. It's a market, and migrants are the expenditures of this market. We also found a plethora of contracts for small companies providing coach, travel, sniffer dogs, marquees, catering, vessel servicing and storage containers. Between 2020 and 2024, the King's Ferry Coach Company received £2.7 million for coach services for Border Force. In 2022, Wagtail UK received £23.4 million for the provision of sniffer dogs. And in 2023, Speedy Asset Services Limited was paid £7.7 million for marquees as temporary accommodation during screening processes. If there's anything that you want to do, budget cuts and aid cuts, it's this kind of stuff. The smallest contract we identified was £6,000, which was paid to Fast Engineering Limited for custodial suits bedding at Border Force facilities. Our findings are certainly an underestimation of government spending in this area. This is partly because some agreements, such as the £1 billion Tevla contract, had been renewed, but the updated costs were redacted from public tendency documents. Other contracts have simply not been publicly announced. In 2023, the Financial Times reported that US military contractor Adui had installed a Sentry watchtower at the Dover Maritime Rescue and Coordination Centre. We've seen this watchtower with our own eyes, but there is no public record of the contract for it. The Home Office has declined a Freedom of Information request about it. I wonder why. The expansion of the UK's border industry is not happening in a vacuum. It comes against a backdrop of increasing anti-immigration rhetoric, far-right nationalism and widening privatisation. As the UK government announces sweeping cuts to disability benefits, slashing public sector jobs, and imposes austerity measures designed to fully grow for her privilege through, the business model for bordering and thriving is unchecked. Such profits come at the expense of UK taxpayer, as well as the people forced to make dangerous journeys across the Channel. It reportedly costs the migrants up to £6,000 per person to traverse the Channel in a small boat. Yet a cross-Channel ferry ticket costs just £50. If people seeking asylum could gain access to such routes, they could make their journey safer and apply for asylum on British soil. But the UK government doesn't operate with this logic. It's more politically expenditure to keep the business of bordering. If borders actually stopped irregular migration, then the business opportunities in the Channel, much like smuggling, would end. But without any available legal routes for those who want to come to the UK, borders do the opposite. They produce irregular migration. This creates business for smugglers and border security companies alike. Decades of research have found that border securitization does not work. But this does not deter the UK government or the companies fulfilling the contracts. Rather, it holds the promise of more lucrative contracts ahead. In this sense, borders do work. They work to bolster political aspirations of the Nigel Farages and Keir Starmers of this world and to offer a host of money-making opportunities for the corporations who benefit from their policy programs. Guys, I would like you to check out the work that Open Democracy do support them. YouTube.com/Open Democracy, and if you can donate towards Open Democracy, please do as well. Please do do that if you can as well for the work that they do. This is fascinating piece here, and I really do hope that this a piece that we read was very informative and helpful to you. From my perspective, obviously, do I believe in this? I think there's a lot of this. There's a lot of truth to a lot of this, because there's not a lot of things that the public are aware of. But when public money is being spent, we do have a right to a certain degree to know what is being spent on to a certain extent. Of course, obviously, in terms of national security, not all of it can be redacted for national security reasons. But in terms of this kind of thing, why is this being redacted? Why are we not being in the knowledge of knowing that government taxpayer money, because this is our money being spent on lots of these businesses and contracts? It does sound like to me that we are spending well over the top on this. And it's this. Do you know what this also implies to me, if this is true? This reminds me of the COVID VIP lane. A lot of taxpayer money going down the drain potentially. Now, of course, it's not in the same, so we can argue that maybe it's not the same amount of money, but it's still a huge amount. We're talking about millions and millions of pounds going towards these companies, when we all know that the solution is safe and legal routes. It is definitely something to be considerate of. So let me know what you guys thought of this opinion piece. This is exclusive from Open Democracy. Like I said, do check out their links. I'll provide links for all of those stuff down below, as well as additional links as well. So do check it out for yourself, and let me know your guys' thoughts on all of this and more down in the comments section below. If you found this video informative or helpful to you, hit that like button, share it across social media, subscribe if you haven't to already. Do check out Patreon and Rumble content down below. And if you want to financially support me and the work that I do on this channel and across other social medias, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.